Hello. I'm doing this to go over the informative speech assignment just to help everyone. I'm going to play an example of an informative speech, show the assignment in the course, and give you an example of a full sentence outline, which is required for this. So let's start off by just watching an example of an informative speech. This is where it requires research, some slides, um, being organized, and definitely citing sources within the speech itself, and you have an audience required too. So I'm going to play this example of a speech, and in this speech it is about the importance of sleep. You'll see that the speaker has an audience and is really prepared, and it should show that you've learned something yourself in the process of preparing your informative speech. You're not persuading at this point, but you are definitely empowering your audience with knowledge to do something if they desire to. Here we go.
Hi everyone, I apologize in advance for my voice. I have laryngitis, so I'm gonna get through this as best as I can. How many of you get the right amount of sleep every night and feel refreshed each morning? Do you get 7 to 9 hours? Most college students are lucky if they get 5. According to the National Sleep Foundation, most Americans are not getting enough sleep at night. In fact, 39% of Americans are not getting the 7 to 9 hours recommended, and 74% experience sleep problems that affect the quality of their sleep. Whether you are in college, are middle-aged, or over 7 years old, this speech applies to you. Although sleep needs change over the course of our life, sleep will always be crucial. Before preparing my speech, I interviewed my mom. She's a respiratory therapist and works at Precision Diagnostic Services and is their regional manager. PDS is a company that tests, diagnoses, and treats people with chronic sleep disorders. She has been a respiratory therapist for 24 years and provided me with very valuable information. The amount of sleep we get each night has direct effects on our bodies, both physically and mentally. Today I'm going to speak to you about the importance of getting sleep, give you some tips for getting better sleep, and talk briefly about sleep disorders. During my interview with my mother, she emphasized that the importance of getting good sleep is that it is key to our health, performance, safety, and quality of life. It is just as important as good nutrition and exercise to our health. In fact, it is as necessary as the water we drink, the air we breathe, and the food we eat to function and live our best. Now that you know why it is important to get good sleep, I'm going to give you a few tips for better sleep. According to Mayo Clinic's article, Sleep Tips, 7 Tips for Better Sleep, there are 7 ways you can get better sleep at night. First, stick to a sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up roughly at the same time every day. Having a schedule reinforces your body's sleep-wake cycle and helps you sleep better at night. Second, pay attention to what you eat and drink. Do not go to bed too hungry or too full. And also limit how much you drink before bed to avoid unnecessary trips to the bathroom. Lastly, limit alcohol, caffeine, and nicotine use, as these can all disrupt your sleep. Next, create a bedtime ritual. Do the same things each night if possible to tell your body that you're getting ready for bed. Examples would be taking a shower, reading a book, or even listening to music. However, don't watch TV or use electronic devices, as these can interfere with your sleep. Next, get comfortable. Buy a few comfy pillows and maybe a mattress pad or a new mattress if possible. Create a room also that is ideal for sleeping. An example would be a cool, dark room. Next, limit daytime naps. If you're going to take a nap, make sure that it's between 10 and 30 minutes max. And if you work a nighttime shift, make sure that the room is dark so that your body isn't confused and your internal clock doesn't adjust. Next, include physical activity in your daily routine. Physical activity has been proven to promote better sleep. It helps you fall asleep faster and even enjoy deeper sleep. Don't exercise too close to bedtime though, because you may be too energized to fall asleep. And lastly, manage stress. When you have too much to think about, you will not get quality sleep. Try organize, set priorities, and delegate tasks in order to decrease and manage your stress. Try this. Before bed, write something down that you're thinking about and set it aside until the morning. This way you won't think about it while you're sitting waiting to fall asleep. Part of the reason why we don't get adequate sleep could have to do with a sleep disorder. I will briefly tell you about two of the most common sleep disorders in America. First, insomnia. In Sleep Passport's article on insomnia, it was stated that estimates are that more than 30% of Americans have insomnia. That means that upwards of 100 million people in the US may not be sleeping well, which is a staggering number. And 30 to 50% of people around the globe have some difficulty with sleeping. Insomnia includes inadequate or poor quality sleep. They also have difficulty falling asleep, could possibly awake frequently during the night. They also wake up too early and then they can't get back to sleep. And this sleep is unrefreshed or non-restorative sleep, which is not good. Next, we have obstructive sleep apnea. Now, 1 in 4 men and 1 in 7 women have sleep apnea, according to the 2009 Sleep in America poll. Sleep apnea is characterized by pauses or gaps in breathing due to an obstruction of the airway. It increases as we age. As you can see, 4% and 2% of middle-aged men and women have it, and close to 27% and 19% of older men and women have it when they're older. According to WebMD, the risk factors for sleep apnea are being male, being overweight, over the age of 40, having a large neck circumference, family history, and previous sinus problems. Obstructive sleep apnea can cause increased sympathetic nerve activity, increased arousals and sleep disturbance, increased cardiovascular events/death, increased risk of hypertension, stroke, and lastly, increased risk of death. Now, a CPAP mask is used to treat sleep apnea. That's just one of the treatments. I have one with me today. It goes over your mouth and your nose and helps you sleep better by providing continuous positive airway pressure. Now, let's recap what we talked about today. As you have seen, the amount of sleep that we get at night has direct effects on our bodies. Today, we learned about the importance of getting good sleep. I gave you some tips to get good sleep and briefly talked about sleep disorders. Now that you're probably all asleep already, make sure it's not a nap longer than 30 minutes. Thanks for listening to my speech.
Okay. So I hope that really helped you guys see how it can flow and the importance of rehearsing and having all your visual aids readily available and having an audience. Now, she didn't have the size audience that's required for this course, but it just gives you an idea of showing the audience at the beginning and then, having someone operate the camera for you likely makes it easier like she did. One thing I thought was good too was the use of an object to show the actual mask to the audience. You may do that with your informative speech too, as it does require the use of a visual in addition to the slides. So that visual could be, handouts, a brochure, or some objects to show to the audience and share with the audience. Your speech does require 2 outlines. One is a key phrase outline, which is like the basic outline you did for the demonstration speech or process speech, and then a full sentence outline. So I want to show you where you can get an example of the full sentence outline. And I also will show you what this assignment looks like as it is to be submitted next week. So let's go there. When you look at module 5, which I will open this weekend, but you already have the assignment for you guys, which is to do this informative speech where it's on a person, place, concept, or event, and it's 4 to 6 minutes long. And your requirements, excuse me, are to choose a topic. Sorry about my alarm there. To choose a topic and have it approved. So at this point, that should be covered and you should be in the research and planning stages of your speech. You must orally cite at least 5 references in your presentation. That can be a quote, a statistic, a visual, those kinds of things. There's guidelines here to help you with knowing the requirements of the speech. It says here you must have an audience of six or more people, at least 16 years of age or older. I have relaxed that a little bit. There could be some people on Zoom. If you let me know that you had trouble with people schedule lining up with yours, we can work with that. But you need to have an audience. The amount could affect your grade if you don't have enough. Ideally, six people over the age of 16. The speech is worth 150 points. Uh, Now, let's move on to see where I have put an example of the informative speech uh, full sentence outline. So when you go into the course module and you scroll down in the week 4, module 4, at the bottom, I have now put a full sentence outline example in there. So you can click on that and it will open up and you can download it and see the example. You need to have a cover page, which I just kind of skipped over, but you want to have a cover page. And this one was done by a student last year in 2020. You want to have a introduction, an attention grabber, a way that you establish credibility for yourself, a little bit of background information or kind of a preview to the speech and how the speech will connect to the audience, and a thesis statement, a more thought out thesis statement than you did for your demonstration speech. And the body of the speech right here should have 2 to 4 main points with some subpoints. And as you see with the full sentence outline, things are written out more in full sentence paragraph format in the key points and subpoints, including the citations that will be made during the actual speech, referencing your sources. And then your conclusion likely has 2 parts to it, which would be like a review of the information that you've shared and a closing statement about what you want the audience to get out of it. So you see that there. And what is due along with the full sentence outline is your citations page, your bibliography. You're not doing an annotated bibliography here. You see an example where you have must have a minimum of one of each source. And this student actually did 6 citations. So they had one of each source and an additional citation. So the minimum is 5. That's not the maximum you can do. So whatever it requires to do your speech, it's good to do your citations in the bibliography along with showing where you're using them in your speech. I know I went through this kind of fast, but I just want you to see where you can go for that information. And um, best to you in doing your informative speeches. Okay.